Well, a very good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Breeding to Win, fresh from the National Yearling Sales, where we saw a record price of 9 million rand. What a fantastic achievement for a South African bred. Well done to Johan Malherbe and Mike de Kock, who secured the Silvano colt, and keep an eye on him. He is a record holder in South Africa. But we've got a busy show for you, and we're going to kick off the show when we catch up with John Freeman. Fiona Ramsden took time to go see John Freeman just to get his perspective of the recent National Yearling Sale.
We regularly feature a Freeman stallion on our show, but it's lovely to be catching up with John Freeman in person this afternoon at his offices in Cape Town. John, lovely to have you on the show.
Thanks, Fee. Always good to see you.
Been a busy time for you. You're just back from the National Sales.
Yep, National Sales is always the big event of the year. I have to say that wasn't exactly the best of sales because it was bloody wet and the TBA ground turned into a quagmire. It's not really used to that amount of water, I don't think. I've never seen so much water at the sale ever in my life. And then, of course, Easter weekend viewing wasn't ideal. I took the issues up with the guys that run the event and said, you know, it's unusual for it to fall that way, and let's hope it doesn't happen again. We just couldn't get people to come and look at horses on that weekend before. You know, they want to be with their families. We've got to respect that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because it was a super catalogue, and this year they had the session one, which was obviously top quality horses, and we got some top quality buyers.
There was a big interest in session one, but a very big catalogue. There's 560 horses is maybe a stretch too far for our industry right now, particularly in the prevailing economy, because there's no secret about the fact that we're in a recession. I mean, it's not just in the horse industry, but the new record for a record price for a yearling, I felt quite humiliated because I had 5 million to spend on the horse and battled it out in bids of 100 and 200,000 until eventually when it got to 6 million, they jumped from 5.6 to 6 million, and there was 500,000 rand bids thrown across the ring, and I'd never seen that in my life before. 8 500,000 rand bids sequentially. I said, wow, okay. So you think you better step up the mark and go a little bit harder the next time. But as the first day got on, the possibility of getting a top quality colt particularly diminished in the next session. And breeders actually did the selection for themselves, which I found very interesting. You know, it's no longer a panel thing. They evidently have to decide whether or not they're going to accept 100,000 rand minimum bid. Interesting concept. We'll see how it works.
But that was the top end of the market, and obviously it was a record 9 million, and it really did hit the headlines. But lower end of the market, there was great opportunity for buyers in this country to buy a decent racehorse. Fantastic
opportunities. You know, I cannot believe how cheap horses are in South Africa still today. You know, I read an article the other day. There's 101,000 owners, people that own a share of a horse in Australia, and they stand stallions for $70,000, you know, like we stand stallions for 70,000 rand. There's a huge disparity in that, and I don't think people understand how well subsidized or how subsidized our industry is by breeders.
Yeah, absolutely. But there were some really good pedigrees on the sale. Did you see some nice horses yourself?
I did. Didn't manage to buy as many as I'd like to. In fact, I came home without having secured a really top priced horse. It was very unusual. And I had a very good client who wanted to buy some nice horses and gave me a good amount of money to spend. It was just very hard to compete with the big boys. Yeah, very hard indeed, but it did look to be a good catalogue and a lot of horses up for sale. Yeah. Now, we often feature one of your stallions on the show. So talking of stallions, we've got some sad news. Obviously, well, it's not news anymore, but we lost Dynasty, and he was one of your old favourites. Oh, Dynasty, what a horse he was, yeah. He was a heck of a horse, and what a lovely. You couldn't wish to actually have a better stallion if you tried. You know, South African bred horse. You know, in the same category as Captain L, they were the greats. Jetmaster, Captain L. I think we turned the corner as far as respect of our local stock is concerned. Yeah, they were certainly two top boys. But so we've always got the young stallions coming along, and there's obviously some great interest, and he's a lovely looking stallion. The new kid on the block at Drakenstein is the Lancaster Bomber. Lancaster Bomber, indeed. £1 million Group 1 winner, second in 5 Group 1 races. They beat the likes of Churchill. as a 2-year-old, he won his second start over 1,400 metres, trained by Aidan O'Brien. And as a 2-year-old, he goes to America to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and runs second. Comes back to England, second in the Dewhurst Stakes. I mean, this is phenomenal 2-year-old form. Then as a 3-year-old, placed in the Guineas with Churchill, and then in the St James Palace House Stakes, which is one of the top 3-year-old races of the season, he runs second in the fastest time since the beginning of the race. Then as a 4-year-old, he goes and wins the Tattersalls Gold Cup at the Curragh Islands, Group 1 race. So he's got, and his sire Warfront is the hottest sire in the world right now. He's the most expensive stallion in the world right now. And this horse is a full brother to a champion miler called Excalibration. Very nice female line. Beautiful broodmare sires all the way through the page. A dream horse. I've been trying to find a horse of this caliber for years. So having lost Dynasty is an ideal replacement, a perfect sort of classic. His sire Warfront is a natural for South Africa because he's a son of Danzig who's done so well here. So we know that, we know how to use the pedigree.
We're hoping to get to film him at some point, but he hasn't been here.
I'm hoping you will. Me too.
He hasn't been here very long, but he's settled in well, I believe.
Yeah, he's not at the farm yet. He's in quarantine. So his early arrival, he'll be on the farm hopefully by the time we have our stallion AGMs at the end of May, and then we can show him off. He travelled well, he looks well. I've seen photographs of him in the quarantine station. So good-bodied horse, and dying to show him off.
And any other exciting news on the stallion front, the stallions you manage?
Well, yeah, stallions are doing well. You know, the old boys have served their time. Those that aren't dead are very old. And it's a wonderful opportunity for the new boys to make their mark. So we've got Give Me the Green Light and What a Winter fighting out the 3-year-old log right now. And Karari and Twice Over and Master of My Fate rising through the ranks all the time. 5 of the best sires in South Africa right now proudly reside in our portfolio, which we've trimmed down because we've resigned as managers of some of the stallions that really, we couldn't help get any better, to concentrate on what we've got. And I'm in a pretty good frame. 64 years old, I don't think I'll retire because these guys will be covering when I'm 80.
Yeah, you must be very, very proud of your band of stallions. They're a strong band.
It's a heck of a life.
Yeah. And on the purchasing side, we saw the Frankel colt, General Franco, win in very fine style recently.
For Jack and Nancy, wasn't that wonderful? And Jack's just back from America from treatment, so I'm hoping it gives him a lot of, General Franco gives him a lot of fun.
Looking at him, he just oozes quality. He's a beautiful looking horse, isn't he?
Great looking horse. It's a very typical Jack Mitchell sort of a horse, Jack really does like them with high quality. And he says colts run with their head, and this one's got a great looking head. He's also got a lovely way of keeping his chin to his chest, and he's very proud,
He won at ease, though, didn't he? He looks like a horse to get really, really excited about.
Jack won't rush him. They're not going to go into any of the... I doubt that if I know Jack, he won't let him go into any of the juvenile features. Maybe just have a run here and there just to keep him ticking over, but really you want him for the classics.
Yeah,
3-year-old season.
We've got the winter season happening here in Cape Town, but of course really exciting times in Durban because we're all heading towards the July, and you must be excited if Do It Again runs again.
The race card I've been studying this morning, arrived this morning by courier. I have to tell you, it's one of the most exciting weekend of racing I've seen in Johannesburg. You've got a Group 1 race, and the nurseries in Johannesburg. You've got the Drill Hall Stakes tonight, and a heck of a weekend of racing, and new Wiley Hall runners and Master of My Fates and Twist of Fates running. Joey's got him in there. I'm rooting for him. Snowdance had a very good gallop. She'll be in the sprint. Yeah, very nice season coming. Lady in Black tomorrow night in the Drill Hall, taking on the boys. So yeah, it's looking we're going to have a bit of fun.
Lots to look
I hope
forward
we do
to.
anyway.
Yeah, let's look forward to. Imagine winning the July again, because Do It Again won it in such fine style last year.
There's a couple of lurkers in there, not just Do It Again. I'm not trying to take anything away from Do It Again. I'd love to see him win for the team. But There's Twice Over's got another son in the race that might just become. You've got to sneak in the July at low weight, you know.
Double Mint's the one to be on, isn't it?
I think he is. I like that horse. I think he's progressive.
Yeah,
we'll see. Don't want to
much.
say too much and ruin my right form, but I'm quietly optimistic.
Yeah, great season ahead. But anyway, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us.
Thanks, always nice to see you.
Good to see you, good to catch up, and really pleased that the Stallions are doing so well, and hope you have a good season in Durban as well.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Always good to be here at Freeman Stallions office in Cape Town and catch up with John. As he said, he's got a great band of stallions. They're doing him proud, and we're looking forward to the rest of the season ahead on the racecourse as well.
Give me the green light, has it all. Looks. Racing class. Pedigree. And power. He stalks like a leopard. Race like a deer. His progeny pounce like lions. 2016 South African champion freshman sire. 2017 South African champion second crop sire. 2018 second leading active sire of 3-year-olds. Gimme the Green Light is the first 3-year-old to win the Lomaron Queen's Plate in over 40 years and also became the highest rated 3-year-old in South Africa. He was also the only horse ever to beat Dual Horse of the Year Variety Club twice. Gimme the Green Light has Grade 1 winners from both of his first 2 crops, including his very talented son Surcharge, who has since been exported to race overseas, and Gunner, who distinguished himself as a leading 2-year-old of his generation.
National Park with 150 to go is clear in the Gauteng Guineas, 3 lengths clear. Hawam's back in second and Barren, but National Park from the Eastern Cape pulls off the opening leg of the Triple Crown. National Park beat Hawam. Third place will go to Barren.
Gimme the Green Light also has 5 other Grade 1 horses and 34 stakes horses.
At Green and Green Pepper coming down to the line, arch to close. Clawback Legend still in front, and Legend's going on. Legend will win it.
Gimme the Green Light stands at Varsfontein Stud and is the property of a syndicate managed by Freeman Stallions.
But Paul Diamante is a farm that people are starting to take note of, a great spelling and pre-training facility. Monique Chabot is the person behind the scenes there, and Breeding to Win takes time to catch up with her.
It's the first time the Breeding to Win team have visited Paul de Mount stables here near Paul, and it's lovely to be catching up with Monique Chabot this morning to let us know what goes on here at the stables. Monique, lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you, Fee.
Now, I've always wondered, I've driven past your farm often, but we've never actually popped in, and I've just seen it progressing throughout the last few years, and you're doing a fabulous job here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. We started about 3 years ago, and you know, I think anybody that's got a farm knows it takes some time, and as soon as you finish with one part, it's just something new. So thank you very much. We have tried our best to get it to where it is today, and obviously we still want to progress and make it bigger and better. Hopefully we'll get there soon.
Well, it's progressed beautifully. I love all the paddock rails. It really does look fantastic. Now, your background, were you always involved in horses?
I was when I was younger. My dad was very fond of American saddle horses. So when I was a child, I used to do American saddle horses up until I was about 12 years old. And then my father passed away, so I took a bit of a backseat and didn't do it as often anymore. And then I met my husband when I was 21, and he was very much involved with polo and polo cross. And then he got me to play polo cross again, which I absolutely loved. And then just my love for horses started all over again. I was at the stables every single day, like brushing my horse, you know, the whole thing. And yeah, and ever since then, I'm back into horses.
A real equine family, because your husband not only plays polo, but he's an equine dentist as well.
That's right. And my brother-in-law was a vet at Wellington Veterinary Clinic. So yeah, we all seem to be in the horse.
Real equestrian family.
That's
and
right.
Yeah, so what actually goes on here at Parlement? You obviously do spelling, pre-training, you sometimes take a few boarders, mares foaling down. There's a lot going on here, and rehabilitation.
That's right. We mostly, our biggest market is when the yearlings arrive from the sales, and then we do the breaking in and pre-training. And then we get a lot of spellers, and as you say, we do a lot of rehabilitation. And then we get a lot of seasonal mares, especially from Natal. They come down, they fall down, and then we'll take them to the different stallions again in the Western Cape, and then we'll send them back to the different regions.
We were lucky enough to have a look around this morning and do some filming, and your staff, they seemed absolutely superb.
Do you not feel I'm so lucky to have the staff that I have. I don't think we could run the business that we're running if it wasn't for my staff. You know, they always show up for the work, they're always friendly. They're such great horse people, they understand horses. And I think anybody knows if you don't have a great support system, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you just won't be able to cope. So we're really fortunate to have the group of staff that we have at the moment.
And you've got good riders as well, I assume, you know, with the pre-training and getting horses ready for sales.
We do have very good riders. Our guys are very soft with the horses. They've got good temperaments with the horses. You know, so they're patient, and which I think helps a lot. So we're very fortunate with the riders that we've got.
And you obviously were involved in the Ready to Run sale last year as well.
We were. Last year was our second year that we did it, and it's really an exciting sale. Because, you know, anything can happen. You do all the pre-training, and if that horse decides that day that it doesn't want to have a good gallop, you know, then it doesn't. So it's a lot of nerves, but it's an exciting sale, which we enjoy.
And you must be quite proud when you've had horses here coming to rest and having a break, and they go back into training and they do well on the track. That must be very rewarding as well.
I think for you, that's the most rewarding thing that we could wish for, because you just want all the horses to do well that comes to your farm and goes back. And even when we go to races, you know, it's like we get all excited and jumping up and down, and like when we go into the boxes, like everybody's dead quiet and you're just like cheering those horses on. So that is extremely rewarding.
What would be your biggest success on the racetrack so far?
We've had two juvenile winners at Double Alliance, and it was Minnesota Dream. So those were two very nice ones. Then we've got a couple of horses that we sold last year at the 2-year-old sale. We weren't the owners, but they won their first 3 races.
And you've been very well supported so far by trainers and by individual owners on the farm.
We have. We've have a fantastic support system when it comes to clients and trainers. We've had fantastic owners, you know, they've supported us, and every year we just grow more and we get more clients and new trainers, which we're very happy about.
You were born in Robertson, and then you've always been in this part of Cape Town.
That's right. I was born in Robertson, and we moved to Paarl when I was very young, and I went to school here all my life, from pre-primary up until matric. I was in Paarl Gymnasium. So I was raised basically in Paarl, so was my husband. So we know the area well and we love it. I don't think I'll ever move anywhere else than having to live in Paarl. It's a nice little town.
And a lot to juggle. You've got 2 small children, you've got the horses, and obviously your husband's very busy with the polo, and he breaks in for you as well.
That's right. He does all the breaking, the join up and the breaking in with the horses. So he's very much involved with our business. He is a horse, as you mentioned, he does horse dentistry. So, but he does get, you know, luckily when it's our busy time, he's a little bit more quieter, and when we're quiet, it's his busy time. So it actually just works out perfectly.
And facilities-wise, I saw your stables look beautiful, and you've obviously got a track. You've got everything you need here.
Yes, we do. We've got 2 rings. The one ring we use for when we join up and long reining and getting the riders on the saddle. And then once the horses are comfortable with the riders, we'll take them into a bigger ring where the riders will ride them for a couple of days. And then we've got a track on the bottom side of our farm. we've got the R44 running through our farm, so our land's on both sides on the farm. We've got like a big tunnel going underneath, so the riders will go to the bottom side, and then we've got the track there. Our track's about 900 meters, and we've got a beautiful sandy surface. The one side of the track has got like a little bit of an incline, which is very nice for the horses, just slightly, you know, that they've got that little bit of an incline. And yeah,
absolutely great for building up muscles. And you're perfectly situated here on the R44 though, really, because you're very close to Cape Town, very convenient.
It is. It's very convenient, I think, for trainers to send out horses to us because we're not that far. And it's also nice for the owners because we're close by, so they can come and view the horses more often than having to drive somewhere else that's much further. And it's also obviously more cost wise because the trucks don't have to drive so far to go and deliver horses or fetch horses, so it helps.
That's very convenient and quite handy for you to go into races as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And you just recently had King of Pain here. He retired here when he first retired. It was lovely to see him whenever we drove past. We used to see him grazing in the paddock. And now he's moved on. He's with someone doing some show jumping.
That's right. Brian Finch phoned me. It was about a year and a half ago. And he said to me, Monique, you know, King is my life, and can he please come out to the farm? We want to retire him. Can he come stay there for a couple of months until I decide what I want to do with him? I said, Brian, sure. And he sent King out, and he was just the most pleasant horse. You know, it was like he lived here all his life. And he's quite an intelligent horse. I put some youngsters with him, and the way he would teach them and move them around, not to go close to the pins where the horses were next door. You know, he was just an amazing horse. And then he left a little while ago. Brian found an incredible house for him in Constantia. There's a girl who's using him now for jumping. So I think he's happy because he is one of those horses. I don't think he'll ever be able just to go and graze. You know, he's got an active mind. He's intelligent. So he wants to be active and keep busy.
Yeah, he needs to be competitive. But it was lovely for you. You had lots of visitors with carrots when he was here.
Yeah, lots.
Going forward, Monique, what would be your ambition? Do you want to get more involved with the sales and preparing horses for sales?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've got 50 stables now, and we can host about 70 horses. So I think we'll ultimately want to have maybe 100 stables, and looking into sales, that's definitely something. We've done a couple of sales, but that's something we want to, you know, grow our numbers. And I'm hoping we can with how things are going now at the moment with the market. You know, I think everybody's a bit hesitant, and with sales not going so well and people not getting the money they think the horses are worth, we're hoping it will pick up again. And I think the only thing we can do at this stage is stay positive. And if everybody just stays positive and support each other, you know, then we can just go forward.
I think we've, in South Africa, we've certainly got the horse flesh now, haven't we? Some really decent horses.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we've got great stallions here. There's no reason why, I mean, all the horses shouldn't sell well. But unfortunately, we're just where we're at the moment. And as I said, hopefully it picks up again.
And a lover of all animals, we've got dogs and cats here this morning interacting with us. But Monique, it was lovely to chat to you this morning and have a look at the farm. We're going to follow you closely in the future.
Yeah,
I hope you do really, really well.
Thank you so much, Fia. Thank you for taking the time to come out to the farm. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Well, entries for the Klavervlei Farm Sale are in. We're looking forward to a fantastic event. It's a festival of racing, stroke sales, stroke golf, and also the reduction sale on the Sunday. So make a diary note. Everything's going to be taking part out at Bonnievale. The 14th is the Coup de Golf Day out at Silverstrand, followed by the Klavervlei Farm Sale on the 15th of June. And then we have the reduction sale with a whole host of mares and weanlings that takes place on the Sunday. For more details, contact Michaela at Klavervlei racegate.co.za.
Edict of Nantes is in front, the yellow cap. He's going on strongly. Nothing got a chance on him now. Edict of Nantes drawing away in the closing stages. Goes away to win it comfortably.
Edict of Nantes going great guns from El Sahem. Horizon's back third. Edict of Nantes from El Sahem. Edict of Nantes takes it to another level. Captain of All's going on to win it, and Captain of All has got it won. Second place will go to Legislate, then Carry On Alice. Captain of All though goes on, and it's Captain of All from Gulfstorm the last 100, but Captain of All has won it.
Well, here at Vasco is a happy hunting ground for quite a few racing folk, and one of those would be Justin Vermaak, and Fiona took time to catch up with him as well. We get an update on what's happening with his Green Street International out in Singapore, and we also catch up with his recent purchases out at the National Yearling Sale.
Well, it's a while since we've been at Vermaak, Equine and Green Street Bloodstock HQ here in Cape Town, and it's great to be catching up with Justin Vermaak this morning. Justin, you've been very, very busy at the sales recently, and you were one of the top buyers at the National Yearling Sale.
Yeah, look, it was a buyer's market in the middle end. Obviously, the top end is always very strong for those really smart horses, and just the way the middle market was going, we had orders to fill, and it was great to get a great bunch of horses, and they're going to trainers' yards that will be very happy with what came in the next day.
Yeah, well, you bought some really, really nice individuals. Three that really stood out were two smashing Oratorio colts from Aventure and a beautiful Duke of Marmalade from Ridgemont.
Yeah, they were actually, funny enough, budget or price-wise irrelevant. They were the three horses that I really wanted at the sale. The Duke of Marmalade was out of a 5-time winning, stakes winning as well, Jalad mare from Highlands, and he was a really, really nice horse. I'm still a fan of Duke of Marmalade. He's got a big weekend coming up, a lot of runners, especially in the 2-year-old features. And he was a really stunning horse, and we managed to get Highlands to stay involved with the leg. The horse is going to Johan Janssen van Vuren, which is great for them. They've got a nice trainer up in Johannesburg that they're joining, and Johan's got a good client as well. And then we love to support Pippa and Aventure and the Tabra family. Pippa's a phenomenal breeder. And Lawrence, who I was buying for in Johan, they've had great success with Oratorio in the last couple of months. In fact, Lawrence's first homebred stakes winner was Divine Odyssey, who's by Oratorio. And the grey colt, who's out of Pan Am, has produced a good few runners already, and Ground Control looks like one of the better 2-year-olds in Cape Town with Vaughan Marshall. And this grey horse was just a stunning colt, so we were happy to go to 400,000 to buy him. And then the other Oratorios out of a Sadler's Wells man. He's an outstanding horse. Johan trained the one Toreador brother who's won a good few races, and he got exported to Mauritius afterwards. He was quite sore to lose him because he was showing quite a bit of ability, but this colt was really nice, and we went to 440 to get him. And he was one of those horses where we got 8 to 10 messages afterwards from people saying what a great buy it was. So really, really happy with those colts and those purchases. And my career's taken a little bit of a turn in the last few months. I've joined Lawrence Verner's and Johan, obviously, who's his main trainer in a bloodstock capacity. Lawrence is someone that the game sorely needs, and if only there were more of him. He's going very much into a breeding to race type of a platform. He's got a whole bunch of mares boarding at farms already and shares in some of the top stallions around the country. And the plan will be to race his progeny going forward that he's bred, and just add a select few bunch of horses from the sales every year just to replenish that stock and that quality. So I bought some very nice horses in Argentina for him last year. The first from that first buying trip are 2-year-olds this year, and we got a couple this year that are yearlings as well. So, just looking for very, very well-bred fillies that he can build families off for his personal breeding operation. So very, very chuffed.
Perfect setup, great teamwork. And as you're talking about horses in Singapore, you're doing particularly well there. Yeah,
it's going really well. Look, obviously it would be lovely to take our horses from here to there to race. It's a market we know better than any other market. But just with the delay and the quarantine, it costs another $70,000, $80,000, whatever it is, just to get a horse there, and that just kills the value, So we're having to source from Argentina and Australia at the moment. Our flagship horse there, who's doing really well for us, that Street Party that the guys are very familiar with. He ran a short head third against older horses in a strong handicap last time, and he's most likely 80% chance going to take his place in the Singapore Guineas, which is an 8 million rand race at the end of this month. And he was a really cheap buy. He cost $25,000 and he's earned $100,000 already. I think with all the transport and the keep and everything, he's at about $80,000 in cost. So he's a profit horse, and he's only had that one win from his 7 starts. So once he's had 30-odd starts and he's bagged a few wins, then he really would be a nice profit horse. So he's done really well for us there, and I managed to get a couple of colts in Argentina this year that are, with all due respect to Street Party, a lot higher quality than he is. The market is not doing as well there as it is in Australia, so you can buy really nice type of horses out of Argentina, and they'll go there end of this year. We've publicised the horses that are going. There's one colt called Wall Street. He's by Orpin out of a black type mare. He's a lovely, flashy grey horse. And the other horse in the package is a colt by Manipulator, who's a Group 1 sire himself out of a stakes performing pure prize mare. So his name is Under Oath. So 2 very nice horses that we've got going there, and there are a few others as well that we're working on this year, and hopefully we'll be up into double figures for the next racing season in Singapore. It sure looks that way. We had 1 or 2 bars in Australia that have just arrived there as well from the yearling season last season that are now 2-year-olds that will target some of the 2-year-old racing. So it's going well, and we'll be spending quite a bit more time up there. And hopefully we just get some luck and keep churning out the winners. Yeah, exciting times ahead, and obviously the money is to be earned there in Singapore. And you've got shares still available in those Singapore horses? Yeah, those 2. There's a couple left. There's not much, which is why I said we're going to be adding to the numbers as we go, because as I said, they'll be shipped. We like to keep them in Argentina for as long as possible. It's a beautiful environment for young horses to grow, whereas Singapore is quite, it's a small city, and it's quite a hard place for a young horse to grow up. So we like their minds to be fully matured, and obviously their physical being as well. So they stay in Argentina until January, and we'll just be adding numbers to the palette as we go. But there's a small little piece in the 2-horse package at the moment, which we're working on, and we'll get that put together quite quickly.
And we spoke about it before. You've already got owners from South Africa as well as Singapore.
Yeah, look, it's been, we've had a lot of support from our local owners here, which has been fantastic to get our name out there. And Marsh and Guy Shirtliff have been very good to us. And Vian Smith as well from Cuda is in the horses we're racing there at the moment. And then a whole host of our Green Street owners as well. So Lindsay and Catherine Rolfs also have taken, I think they got 20 or 25% in both horses, a fair investment in both. And they're thoroughly enjoying racing out there. And we've been lucky enough to get some local Singaporeans, some British guys and some Australians as well. So it is, you know, it's, the owner diversity is improving with our horses out there. And it will continue to do so in the next year, I'm sure.
Yeah, great mix. And as far as Green Street Bloodstock goes, doing very well on the racetrack. It was lovely to see Herodotus out again the other day. Yeah,
look, he prepped in that Guineas first run after a bit of a layoff. And obviously a mile being too short. We're electing not to go the July route with him because this year the older horses that are setting the benchmark, you know, Rainbow Bridge and Do It Again, they're really high rated horses. And I think a 3-year-old has to be rated about 115 to come in at 53 kilos. So to go all the way there to run 5-6 kilos under sufferance because he's not showing to be at that level yet is a bit of a wild goose chase, I think. So we've seen historically how a lot of horses really improve and do well if they stay in Cape Town as 3-year-olds and miss that Durban season. When they come back at 4, they really, really do well. And Vaughan Marshall's taken that route with One World. Of course, he goes into the 1800. I think we'll get. I think he beat us 3.5 lengths in the Guineas, and I don't think he'll beat us that far in the Classic. And then don't want to speak on anyone's behalf, but I'm not sure if they're going the Derby route with him. It might be a bit of a stretch for his trip, but if he wins the 1800, well, then maybe they do. But I think our horse is definitely 10 furlong plus, and he'll be a hard horse to beat in the Winter Derby. That's for sure.
He just looks like a horse that's improving as he matures.
Yeah, he always was that way. Look, he had his first start in August only, and then he had 6 runs, of which culminated in the Cape Derby when he ran 3rd. A very mentally immature and a light-framed horse who's got a lot of scope and a lot of maturing to do, and he'll definitely be a much better 4-year-old than he is a 3-year-old. So hopefully he just keeps going on that improvement route, and we could have a run in the Sun Met next year. That would be great. But yeah, very happy with him. He was a 170,000 rand horse, and he's taken us on a good fun ride. And we went and we bought his brother this year at Nationals from Heversham Park again. He was by Global View. He didn't quite make the shortlist, you know, very backward, immature horse, and similar to his brother at the sale, funny enough. And just he was going for no money, so I thought we'll put the hand up, and the same partnership have taken him. So he'll do a lot of improving in the next year, and then we'll have him down. He's gone to the Karoo now, and he'll be thrown out, and then I'm sure he'll develop into a very nice horse as a 2-year-old. So exciting just to stick with the families. You see all these top trainers and owners always stick with their families, and I think it's the way to go. So we got him, and then another Gimme the Greenlight colt that was at Golden Touch. Very, very nice horse. He'll be put together with a bunch of Glenn Cotton's owners and some of our owners, and should be fun racing him as well. So I think, yeah, we managed to get 19 horses off the sale. About 14 or 15 were for Lawrence, just with that strategy that I mentioned to you, and he got a whole bunch of his work colleagues and his other mates involved. I know Johnny Peter got involved in a leg, and Lawrence got involved in 1 or 2 of his horses as well, and then the bulk of those are going to Johan to be trained, and I think there were 2 or 3 for Alec Laird, 1 for Dean and Gary Alexander, and then another one for Brett Warren, because Lawrence has got a couple of trainers that he sends 1 or 2 horses to through the year. So great sale. And then obviously those 2 that for Cape Town, and then there were other 2 that I signed for with Paul Matchett. I think we've seen the last year, he's always been a fantastic trainer, and this year he's come into his own again. He's had his stables had a great revival with cheap horses that are winning stakes races. And we had luck with Brave Mary, who won a Group 1, obviously, which we got for 40 grand or 45 grand at a ready-to-run sale. And always nice to get a horse or 2 with him, because he's just a very, very, very good trainer.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're doing a fabulous job, because it's what we need in horse racing in South Africa, getting the people involved, and you're certainly doing that, and these syndicates seem to be the way to go.
Yeah, I think so. Look, I don't want to use words like pioneering or trailblazing, because people put horses together long before we were on the scene, but I think in this more modern way that it's done, this more modern commercial way that it's done, obviously and marketing and all that, we were the first ones in the modern era, I suppose, to really have a go at it. And you see a lot of syndication, different companies popping up in the last 2 or 3 years, which is fantastic, because I've always maintained I wish there were 50 of us, because if there were, then ownership in this country would be improved and there'd be a lot more buyers. But it is a tough thing to do, obviously, with racing for low stake money and without much trading and export opportunity. It's a tough thing to do commercially, which is why I think we've taken our foot off the gas and concentrated more on Singapore recently and more the private bloodstock work. But if you're a trainer and you're a breeder and you have a stable and you need a full boxes, I personally think every single trainer should have their own racing club of some sort. And obviously we've seen some breeders can do it where they can syndicate their own stock that they haven't sold. I think that's definitely the way to go, and hopefully more people take the initiative. I see Dean Cannemeyer had a syndicate of sorts start with runners and winners in Durban already, and obviously Matthew de Kock has got in his yard, and I really think that all stables should be pushing their own racing club type of venture.
Certainly the way to go. And you're working very hard because you're getting yourself out there to all the top sales. Then obviously you've got to spread your wings and get to Singapore as well. Yeah,
it's not easy. As I said, if only we could export our own horses, I wouldn't have to go to Australia and Argentina to source horses for Singapore. But it is what it is at the moment, and we can't wait. We've got things to do. So hopefully one of these days the guys get the break that they're looking for, and it'll make our lives much easier. But horse racing is a global industry. I've always maintained that. You realize that when you go overseas and you see how people race, and we're very excluded from everything, unfortunately. It is great that we get these foreign buyers that come and buy our yearlings and support the breeders because they desperately need it. But it really, if we could have our horses on the global scene a bit more competing like it used to in the old the Dubai days 5, 10, 15 years ago, it's real marketing for our thoroughbreds and our horsemen. So hopefully that comes right in the foreseeable future.
Yes, and you're involved heavily in the Stallion Horizon. A couple of months ago we were out there for the open day. He looked absolutely fantastic, but he'd only just recently arrived with David Hepburn-Brown at Temelanado. Is he letting down well? Is he doing well?
Yeah, he looks absolutely fantastic. I think we saw him when he came out of full training a month before that day, and I thought, oh, he's a bit light. He's going to do well to get into showman shape for the day, and he did. He looked fantastic, and it's a cliche to say, but the people that were there were stunned by the way he looks, and obviously that's his big selling point in his pedigree as well. And all the major farms have joined in shares, which is always a good sign. And he looks absolutely fantastic at the moment. He's just getting better and better as he lets down. And he's been a well-supported horse. So there's less than a handful of shares that are being put together at the moment. But I think obviously with the unfortunate passing of his father, there's been a bit more requests for shares, and he's getting touched up nicely. There's just a little bit of a way to go, but he'll get done very, very easily. And as I said, by the farms that have come in and the mares that we're getting to him, he'll have a good go of it, and hopefully he can get some really nice racehorses, because he really ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's great value for that pedigree, and I know he's always been the apple of Mike Bass's eye. He loved him as a racehorse.
Yeah, he did, and he was. There were some great shots of him looking at Horizon from his little deck where he was sitting, and a great touch. And obviously Santa Clara is running, the sister that's with the Basses is running with distinction as well. She's now in Durban. I think she ran second in a group race the other day, and she'll go for the Guineas and then at the Willavington probably. So it's a family that's developing. The younger sister won as well the other day. I think runs in Mario Ferreira's colours, Sanskrit or something like that. So it's a ever developing family with lots of fillies that are going to go to stud and produce as well, and it's just going to get the family's going to get stauncher and stauncher, which is awesome.
Yeah, when we saw him at the open day, he looked absolutely magnificent, onwards and upwards. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us, Justin. Really looking forward to following you both here in South Africa and Singapore. You're doing amazing things to racing. Well done.
Thank you very much. And hopefully everyone just keeps following us. You'll see all the updates and the replays and everything on the show and on our social media pages. So it's a lot of fun, and I think we'll do everyone proud.
Great stuff. Well done, Justin.
Thank you.
Always lovely to be here at Justin's office. We've got a good catch-up this morning on what's going on in both South Africa and Singapore. Really exciting times ahead, and I'm going to be watching closely the progress for Justin Weermark.
Well, from a very cloudy and miserable Cape Town with weather not really playing its part, we're at the Vasco. The food's good, the beer's always cold, and we're going to go participate in what they have to offer. But right now, from me, Grant Knowles, it's been great hosting you on Breeding to Win this Sunday. We'll be back with you next Sunday. Stay tuned to Channel 239.